Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with number 156 in the series Viewers Games. If you would like your game to be showcased on the Chess to Impress YouTube channel, please send it to me by email to classroomchess64@gmail.com. In this episode it is the turn of William Squires. I give his last name because William himself also gives his last name. On YouTube, he often posts analysis of the games I show in the comment section. Hi Rick, a bit about myself. I've been playing for a long time. My dad taught me when I was a little boy. I don't remember the exact age, it was so long ago. I currently play on the Chess with Friends app on iOS and Android and chess.com. I don't have an official FIDE rating, but chess.com gives me a 1400 or so rating, for whatever that's worth. I usually play with my dad and my brother-in-law. Sometimes I'll pick a random opponent or my dad will introduce me to someone on chess.com that he played against. I really like your YouTube channel, there's lots of interesting games on there. By the way, check out the recent game on John Bartholomew's, he's an IM going for a GM norm I believe, YouTube channel. It was really an exciting game in which he won a blitz game, a queen down, and his opponent had 2 queens. Wild stuff. Yes, William, I will check that out. For what it's worth, I once played in an open tournament way back when, but I was probably only an 800 or so rated player at the time. I didn't do too well. My dad and I are about equal ratings, I'd say. As we go back and forth, he'll win some and I'll win some. We like to play over the board when we get together for the holidays, but it's quite a trip, about 45 minutes each direction. So we usually play over the internet with an app. His rating on chess.com is in the upper 1200s, I believe. Nice introduction from William, and he says, here's a game I played against my dad on Christmas Day 2019. I had the black pieces and it was a fight to the end. Hope you and the viewers enjoy this game. This was an over the board game, so no ratings available. Okay, so it was played around the Christmas tree, and William in this game was black, so let's look at the game from the black side, from our hero William's side, and William's dad opened with the d-pawn. f5, the Dutch defense, bishop f4, and William writes a note. I usually try to play either the Queen's Gambit declined or the classical Dutch against d4, but this second move by white is really irritating as I have not found a good refutation. Is this even a standard move versus f5? William asks. Well, I have 522 games with bishop f4 in my database, so it has been played before, although it is not very common. As we'll see, white is choosing a London system setup which can be played against many black systems and also against one f5. There are a few games here where Alexander Morozevich played bishop f4 on move 2 in my database. Knight f6 is the main move here, but d6 was played by William, not a bad move. e3, b6, bishop d3 and bishop b7. And that is a blunder on move 4, it just drops the f-pawn. Bishop takes f5 is possible here, just picks up a pawn for nothing, but William's dad did not see it, he played f3 instead. William got away with that one. e6, knight h3, bishop e7, castling from white, and here William played h6. William says, this might not be the usual move, but I want to block the g5 square as I've suffered several losses when white gets a minor piece there. h6 is not a bad move, but you can also play knight f6, just developing a piece. If that knight comes to g5, attacking the e6 pawn, you just play queen d7, and we can always kick the knight away with h6 if we want at a later stage. So h6 was not necessary at this point, but it's not a bad move. Knight d2 developing, knight f6 developing, b4, knight b2 d7, a4 and a5. The engine is not crazy about that move and prefers knight d5 or castling. But a5 was played by William, and now b takes a5, and here William writes, I think white could have done better here, maybe by keeping the tension. Yes, that was an option indeed, you don't have to take on a5. William recaptured, c4, and here the engine wants William to castle, but bishop c6 was William's choice. Bishop g3, and now e5. William writes, I think this was a minor blunder, but I did not really see anything better. The engine says knight h5 is a good move. It's a complicated position. Another move the engine likes is g7, g5, followed by castling, and the position is about equal. But e5 was William's choice, and now William's dad played d5. Here, bishop b7 is the move. White is better, but he still has a lot to prove. Black is still in the game. If you take on f5, that is possible, then black castles, and this is a very complex position. White is an extra pawn, but the fight is still on. But look at what William played after d5. He took that pawn, knight takes d5, a piece sacrifice for which black only gets one pawn for the moment. A bit of a panicky move. C takes d5, bishop takes d5, and bishop takes f5. Black only has one pawn for the piece. White is much better, obviously. Castling now from William. Bishop takes d7, queen takes d7, and here a move like knight b3 is good. But white played e4, and now it gets really complicated. Attacking the bishop, bishop c6, and now black will win a second pawn for the piece that he is down, because this a4 pawn will be taken by black. It cannot be defended anymore. It is attacked 3 times and only defended twice. Knight c4, William took the pawn, queen b3, and this is a nasty discovered attack on the king, so William plays king h8, saying, getting my king out of the line of fire on g8. Exactly, good move, William. Here a move like knight e3 is a good move, but white makes a mistake. He plays f4, and that is a bad move. It's giving black a third pawn, which will be sufficient material compensation for the knight. But this was not easy to calculate, and it's no surprise that both players had missed this. Because the way to play now for black is to take on a1, rook takes, and then you can take on e4. It wins a third pawn, and white cannot win a pawn himself by taking on e5. It looks like he can, but after f takes e5, there is d takes e5, and don't win a pawn with white. Knight takes e5 is a big blunder, because of, if you want to put the video on pause, this is not very difficult. Look at it for yourself. What is the refutation of knight takes e5? Yes, queen d4 check, and that is a simple fork on 2 pieces. King h1, queen takes a1 check, and black is better. In fact, he's totally winning here. White will get checkmated soon. So let's go back. We said that f takes e5 winning a pawn is not possible because of d takes e5. We just saw that taking with the knight is no good. What about taking with the bishop? Well, also then black wins with bishop c5 check, king h1, and look at this move. Bishop takes g2 check, and white will get checkmated. You have to take, and then queen g4 check, king h1, queen e4 check. You have to interpose the queen, you have no other legal move, and this is checkmate on the spot. Very nice. So all that after the mistake from white f4, and then rook takes a1, and bishop takes e4, winning a third pawn for the piece. But not easy to calculate. After f4, William did not take on a1, he played bishop f6. He missed a chance. And now white did take on e5, d takes e5, and knight takes e5, and now it's white who has won a pawn instead of black. So we're back to having only one pawn material compensation for the piece. White is attacking the queen, queen d4 check, and now the only move to keep an advantage for white is knight f2, as pointed out by the engine. In this very sharp position, this is the only way to keep an advantage. No surprise that white did not find that. He played king h1 instead. And now it's important to see that you cannot take that piece on e5 because the rook is hanging on f8. William saw that, and after king h1 he took on a1. Knight g6 check is important as an in-between move, otherwise that knight is lost. And here William said, at this point I was trying for a perpetual. He was hoping that his dad would give a perpetual, which is available after king h7, which was played, knight takes f8 check, king h8. You can go back with knight g6, and we have a move repetition, and this game ends peacefully at Christmas. But William's dad was not going for that. He played rook takes a1 here, recapturing the rook, queen takes a1 check, and knight g1 interposing. White plays on because he has an extra piece, but black has a great attack with his queen and two bishops, so white will have to go for that perpetual, which is still available. In this position, bishop d4 is a great move, and because of the mate threat, white will have to go for that perpetual. Knight c6 check, king h7, knight f8 check, king h8, and this game will end peacefully after all. But after knight g1, William did not play that very strong move bishop d4 with the mate threat. He played queen a8. And now white does not have to go for the perpetual because the mate threat from black is no longer there. He played knight g6 check, king h7, and knight f4. Bishop takes e4 from William, picking up another pawn. h4, queen e8, h5, and b5. Here William writes, I was trying to get a small pawn chain anchored at c6, but it never materialized. White is playing on. He wants to checkmate the black king with his extra piece. He played knight e6, and that is a bad move. It's overlooking something. Can you see what it's overlooking? Yes, indeed. That pawn on h5 is hanging with check, and it's black now who is attacking. Here you have to be careful with white. Bishop h2 has to be played, but black is better. But in this position, William's dad blundered. He played knight h3. And can you now see how black wins on the spot? Put the video on pause and have a look. In fact, there is a mate in 2 available. William did not see it. Queen takes h3 check is the killer move. The g-pawn is pinned. So you have to play king g1 and queen takes g2 is checkmate, and William has won this game. Big blunder knight h3, but it remained unpunished because in this position William did not spot a mate in 2. He played bishop f5. Knight f8 check, king h8, bishop f2, queen e8, bishop c5 and bishop e7. William writes, I was trying for something tricky here, but when I went back to replay the game I could not remember what it was I had in mind. I think it's quite simple. Black is threatening to win the knight on f8 and white did well to find the only move that kept a balance. He played queen e3. And now you cannot take the knight with the bishop because then your queen is hanging. Nice move, queen e3 from white. So you have to take with the queen. It's an unusual tactic. And then white regains the piece with bishop takes e7. Queen c8 from William. Queen c5. And now queen d7 was played. William missed a chance here to draw the game with a piece down. He could have taken on h3 instead. G takes, queen takes check. King g1, queen g3 check, and black has a draw at least. White is not going to win this game. But queen d7 was played instead. Knight f4 and bishop h7. William writes, this was a blunder. I'm sure there was something better. This was too passive. The engine likes to move c6 instead. But not all is lost after bishop h7, the move from the game. White still has to prove he can break down black's fortress. He played queen e5. And now bishop f5 is the move and the game goes on. But here William blundered. After queen e5 he played c6. And now William's dad could have won the game with queen b8 check. You have to interpose the bishop. Knight g6 check. King h7 and we have knight f8 check. And that is winning the queen. This was suddenly possible because the move c7 c6 gives white access to the b8 square. But white did not see it. After c6 he played bishop f8 instead. Queen f7, queen b8 now. But now it is not deadly because black has bishop f5, a very cool move. And it turns out white does not have any good discovered checks. And despite white having an extra piece in the attack, white cannot make progress. This game is likely to end in a draw. But William did not find bishop f5. After queen b8 he blundered. He played g5. Black succumbs under the pressure. He fatally weakens his position, which was a nice fortress for the black king, but now not anymore. The last move of the game was bishop takes h6 check. It discovered a check from the queen. and William resigned here, and indeed the game is over. g7, g5 was a fatal move. Let's look at one example. You have to interpose the bishop, then there is queen e5 check, which was not possible with the pawn on g7. That pawn was very important for black. King h7, queen takes g5, there goes that g-pawn, and now the king does not have enough protection against the 3 white pieces. For example, b4, there's nothing better, and then white will checkmate the black king with knight e6. There's nothing better than something like b3, knight f8 check, king h8, queen e5 check, queen g7, and checkmate. Just to give one example, which shows that black had fatally weakened himself with that g7, g5 move. This was a great game and both players played really well. William panicked early in the game and sacrificed a piece for which he initially did not get enough compensation. But after this unfortunate moment, William fought like a lion and played very well. That was a moment where William could have achieved a draw on the spot when white had to give a perpetual, and later William could have even won the game when white blundered. Then we had a very complicated struggle where white tried to use this extra piece to attack the black king, but partly because of the opposite colored bishops, the black king was able to survive in his fortress. In the end, William threw himself in the sword by fatally weakening his position and had to resign straight away. Thank you, William, for sending in this game. Both you and your dad played really well. It was a great game. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. On Twitter, I've just started a chess trivia series. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.